Do you remember a long time ago that 7-year-old kid who became famous for stealing a car? Well, he's about to do it all over again. Now the kid's name is Latarian, and Latarian is 7 when this story starts, and he's living in Florida, and all this kid seems to want to do is get into trouble. And one day in 2008, he and his grandma are visiting his mom at her townhouse, and so they're all there, and Latarian asks if he can have his friend come over to watch cartoons. But his mom says no. Here's the thing though, Latarian's friend is already there, waiting outside. Regardless, Latarian's mom won't let him in the house. And so Latarian gets super pissed off, and he steals the keys to his grandma's SUV. Then he and his friend, they get in the car, and Latarian gets in the driver's seat, and he starts it up, and he puts it into gear, and the two drive off, heading to Walmart. Meanwhile, back at home, Grandma and Mom are putting together one of those kids' basketball hoops. And at one point, Grandma goes inside to get some screws that she had left on the counter, and she notices that her keys are missing. And she also notices that Latarian is gone. And she's like, oh shit, that little jerk stole my car! And immediately she starts freaking out, and she screams for someone to call the police. Now apparently, Latarian can drive, like he's actually doing it. He and his friend cruise around for miles down busy streets, through crowded parking lots, and during that time, they run over a couple of mailboxes, they hit 2 parked cars, and even 2 moving cars. Now eventually, someone sees Latarian, who is so short it looks like he can't even see over the steering wheel, and they call the police. And so police come and they spot Latarian driving, and they turn on their lights and they try to pull him over. But I guess instead of pulling over, Latarian is just like, nah, I'll just drive home instead. And he starts driving home. And at some point, while driving home, skirt, kaboom! He crashes into a curb and a sign, and he snaps one of the car's axles and wheels. Here is actually a picture of his grandma's SUV later. It looks like this is in the impound yard, and you can see that it's all wrecked. And so grandma's ride is totaled, but luckily the 2 boys aren't hurt. And so police, they get Latarian, and later that day, they escort him home. And a local news crew hears about the accident, and they show up to his house. They want to interview him about what happened. And this is where he ends up doing an on-camera interview with a local news station. And the reporter asks him why he stole his grandmother's car.
I want to do it because it's fun. It's fun to do bad things, to drive into a car.
But did you know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
And so that news station posts a clip of that interview to YouTube. And the video blows the fuck up. People find it hilarious. It becomes an early viral internet sensation. It gets millions of views, and people are sharing it all around, and they're quoting him because he has so many quotable lines.
I took my grandma's car because I got mad at my mom, and then I saw him and had my friend come in, and he smokes with cigarettes.
And people start calling him Hood Rat Kid, which is just not a good name to have when you're 7. Now, you would think that this viral joyride would be the end of Latarian's crime spree. But no. He's just getting started. A few weeks later, he's at Walmart with his grandmother. And he gets into a fight with her because she won't let him get any chicken wings. And during the fight, he starts hitting her. And he hits her in the stomach and on her legs, basically anywhere he can reach. And this causes a whole scene, and it makes the local news too.
The problem began when Latarian asked his grandmother to buy him some chicken wings.
So, unfortunately, his terrible behavior keeps getting him attention. For example, that same year, he, his grandma, and his mom are scheduled to appear on Judge Judy.
We're going to the Judge Judy show.
Encouraged by show producers, Latarian Milton's grandmother says she plans to sue her daughter, blaming Latarian's mother for allowing him to steal her SUV, then drive off.
But thankfully, after a lot of public criticism, the Judge Judy show ends up canceling on them. But Latarian's not done getting attention yet. 2 years later, in 2010, he's 9 years old at this point, he gets invited onto the Comedy Central show, Tosh.0.
Do you think that this was kind of your grandma's fault?
A little bit. She should have kept her keys in her purse.
She should have kept her keys in her purse. Don't you think you should just not take her car?
Nope.
Not only that, that same year, that animated show, The Boondocks, creates a hood rat character based on Latarian.
Milton, what about the people you could have hurt?
I don't care nothing about those people. I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friends.
Now, eventually, all this attention stops. His 15 minutes of fame ends, and Latarian goes back to being a regular Florida kid living a normal life. And a few years pass, and he goes to middle school, and he graduates from middle school. Here's a picture of him holding his certificate of completion, and, good for him. And then the local news comes out, and they interview him again, and, he seems to be doing much better.
Going wrong is bad, but doing good, I could be a success in doing some stuff.
And so it looks like Latarian has learned his lesson finally, and that he's gonna grow up, and he'll never get into any serious trouble ever again. Until he screws up real big. Because it's now 2017, and Latarian is 16 years old at this point. And one night, he's hanging out with 4 of his friends. So there are 5 of them total. And they order a Lyft. And so the Lyft shows up, and the driver picks them up, and he takes them to their location. But when they get there, only one of them gets out. And the driver's like, "What's going on?" And Latarian and the rest of the group tell him to take them somewhere else, a different location. And the driver's like, "Okay, well, you gotta make a request through the app." And I guess they don't want to do that. So the driver refuses to take them anywhere. Because, he's trying to get paid. This is his job. And that is when suddenly one of Latarian's friends in the back pulls out a pistol, and pow, he hits the driver in the head with it. And the driver is totally freaked out. Then, Latarian's friend points the gun at him, and he forces him out of the car. Then they take his wallet and his jacket, and they take the whole car, too. And with Latarian driving, they all speed away. And they leave the driver just standing there on the street. Now, the dumbest part about this crime is that they not only stole this poor guy's car, but they stole the Lyft after Latarian ordered that very Lyft. Which means the driver has all of his account information, like his name, his phone number, etc. And so the driver gives the phone number to police, and police easily trace it back to Latarian's Facebook account. And so they find him, and bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And he gets 3 years in prison for this. And he gets out a little early, and in 2019, bam, he's arrested again. Here's another mugshot. This time, he's sentenced to 1 year, 9 months in prison for grand theft. Then he gets out, and in 2023, when he's 22 years old, bam, he gets arrested again. Here's his mugshot again. And this time, he was involved in some kind of physical domestic dispute. I'm not really sure. But from here, I couldn't find any credible information on whether or not he got sent back to prison or what he's got going on now. Regardless, I hope he figures himself out.